Hello and a very warm welcome to all of you. I'm Meha Bhardwaj Alter. Let's begin today's show with this stat. And the stat is about Sarfaraz Khan. He scored 3,505 runs at an average of 79.65 in 37 first-class matches, which include 13 hundreds and 9 50s. That's right, 13 hundreds and 9 50s. Now compare this to Ruturaj Gaikwad, who has scored 1,941 runs in 23 first-class games at an average of 42.19. That's almost half of Sarfaraz Khan's average. But Ruturaj Gaikwad has been preferred over the Mumbai batter after he was chosen for the squad to the West Indies. Why is that? Because Ruturaj Gaikwad has been scoring runs in the IPL. So Gaikwad has been selected for his exploits in the IPL for 5-day matches. You play T20 cricket and then you get selected for 5-day matches. I'm not saying that he hasn't been playing first-class cricket, but he's not performing as well as Sarfaraz Khan. Meanwhile, Sarfaraz apparently is not fit enough for the selectors despite scoring hundreds after hundreds. So the one who has the potential has won over the other who's proving his potential by scoring huge runs. Why did the selectors make this call, and is it the right call? Jamie Alter is here with us. Vedam Jaishankar is here as well. Gentlemen, I have nothing against Ruturaj Gaikwad. He's a very good player, very talented, but this trend of IPL preference over first-class cricket is not ideal. Jamie, let's begin with you.
Yeah, good evening. It's a tricky one, right? Because there's so many ways to look at this selection, non-selection. It's very easy to start with what Mr. Sunil Gavaskar said a couple of days ago. It's very easy to look at what Sarfaraz Khan has done with the bat, and I think that is where he should be judged. It's also very easy to say, look, he does not fit the prototype of what this modern day 3 format batsman should be. But I think what it comes down to is, and I would hope it's this, that is Sarfaraz Khan being told why he's not being picked? Because we've heard from countless. I mean, off the record, on the record, I've spoken to so many players, batsmen, bowlers, keepers down the years. And until a few years ago, the common gripe was that there's just absolute silence from the selectors, or there are a few flimsy, pithy lines about, oh, your time will come. If it's been communicated to him why exactly he's not been picked, then I think there's some hope. But if it's not, then it's very hard to not take the cynical route and say, it's because he doesn't have, like Mr. Gavaskar said, many followers, just like Cheteshwar Pujara. Maybe there's something beyond the fact that he's not scoring runs in the IPL. Rahane was at the end of the day, Mayor. While some people will point to his Ranji Trophy scores before the IPL, I have no doubt, 100% he was called back because he was scoring runs in the IPL, right? What did he do in the last 2.5 years? Yes, he captained India in a damn tough tour of Australia, but he was such an inconsistent batsman, more inconsistent, I would say, than Cheteshwar Pujara. So you have all these people who are being picked and non-picked. It's just very, very confusing. I think, in short, in regards to Sarfaraz Khan, it seems that along with the fitness, there are, as we're hearing in certain outlets, there is something beyond, or let's say off the field, which is keeping him away from the Indian team.
Okay, now before I come to Vedam, this is what has been happening. Sarfaraz Khan has stacked up huge runs over the past 3 seasons in Ranji Trophy. In 2019-2020, he scored 928 runs at an average of 154. Can you imagine that? In 21-22, he scored 982 runs at an average of 122.75. And then in 2023, he has scored 556 runs. But despite doing well consistently, he's been ignored since last year. He was not selected for the series against Bangladesh, the Border Gavaskar Trophy and the World Test Championship final this year. With India now entering a transition phase, this was the perfect time to give him an opportunity in red ball cricket. But the selectors had other plans. Now, this is what was said in a PTI report and where a BCCI official has spoken on this matter. saying the selection was because of the reason beyond the field. The official revealed it was fitness and disciplinary issues both on and off the field that has led to selectors ignoring him for Indian team. Now, one of the crucial aspects pointed out was Sarfaraz's celebration after scoring a century in the Ranji Trophy match against Delhi earlier in January this year. The Mumbai batter had broken into a wild celebration on reaching 100, pointing at the dressing room. But the BCCI official alleged that the gesture of pointing fingers was a statement made for the selector at that time. Who was present at that time? It was Chetan Sharma. However, then, there was a source close to the cricketer who has come out in support of him and said that unlike in the accusation made by the BCCI official, the selector present was Salil Ankola and not Chetan Sharma, and then clarified that the celebration was meant for his teammates. But there on your screens, you can see the reasons that were given for Sarfaraz Khan's omission from this West Indies squad. Now, in which they've spoken about how he needs to be fit, how he needs to conduct himself better off the field. Vedam, your reaction to this?
Hi, Meha. Let me start off by saying that if you had to fall back on statistics to select a team, an Indian team, you probably could do it with the groundsman. He could do it. You don't need selectors to do that. Groundsman of any major stadium will do that. Maybe Mumbai Cricket Association groundsman can choose if you have to go only according to the statistics. What we're looking for is some inspired selections. And we've had that in the past. People don't go according to the statistics. Take Sachin Tendulkar, for instance, or Dilip Vengsaka. Dilip Vengsaka broke into the national team after one Irani Trophy match. And Sachin was just, 15, 16 or something like that. He'd hardly played a couple of Ranji Trophy matches. Sunil Gavaskar himself, I think he came from university cricket directly to the Indian cricket team. So those are inspired selections. And I would like to recall one more very inspired selection, that of Malcolm Marshall. Malcolm Marshall had played just one first-class match when he was called into the West Indies team. See, what a selector has to do is he has to visualize what a player can become, not what he is, what he can become. What he is will be judged by the groundsman and others. But what he can become is what a selector needs to do. And if in the opinion of the selectors, Sarfaraz Khan is not what they want him to be, let's say 2 years down the line or 3 years down the line, I see nothing wrong with it. I don't see, look, we've had people like Mayank Agarwal, Mohinder Amarnath, people who scored tons of runs, before they were called in. And again, it's all a question of what sort of inspired selections you make. I would never, ever go just on statistics. Because lies, bloody lies and statistics. That's exactly what it is. Because Sarfaraz Khan, nobody's talking about his India A performances. And I think he played a couple of India A matches. I don't have those records here, but he played a couple of India A matches. And I don't think he covered himself with glory. So maybe he's not fit. Maybe the fielding is a problem. Maybe running between wickets is a problem. And if he really was that good, I don't know why he was not a regular IPL player like you said. IPL, they just choose the best players over there. He's not been a regular IPL player. So there must be something behind there, whether he was backing away in the nets, whether he had issues with fast bowlers. We wouldn't know that sitting over here. Maybe there were issues. And look, I don't like to run down a player, especially a guy who's played so many runs. But I think we should cut the selectors also some slack. Maybe the boy is good, but maybe the route for him is through India A and other things. And if he does well there on the bouncy pitches, maybe in South Africa and Australia, then maybe he's the man we're looking for. But until then, I wouldn't like to diss the selectors just because they have not selected him and instead selected somebody like Ruturaj, who I think they see has more potential, Jaiswal, Ruturaj, than Sarfaraz Khan.
But Jamie, the other thing being that numbers are there for a reason. I mean, what more can Sarfaraz Khan really do? I understand the fitness issue, but in his defense, he passed the yo-yo test. So it's not like he's not fit. The requirement really to be part of the squad. He's past that. Now, he's scored these big hundreds where he's batted for 2 days. So, I think it's a little difficult to just say numbers, are not really the way to select a player, because at the end of the day, you do need to have those numbers. My problem is not just Sarfaraz Khan. Even if you look at Abhimanyu Ishwaran, and we are going to talk about Sarfaraz and, whether it's right to even talk about these disciplinary issues in the media, where BCCI officials come out and spoken about it, but I don't know whether Sarfaraz Khan himself has been told about it, like the way you were saying before. But even Abhimanyu Ishwaran, who's been scoring runs, I do feel like they weren't rewarded. Over them was Ruturaj Gaikwad, who's averaging 49 in first-class cricket. But because he's been batting well in the IPL, he's looked good. And I'm not taking anything away from the talent that he has. But there has to be a criteria. And I feel like if you're not rewarded for your domestic first-class performances while being chosen for Test cricket, then really, why do you play that?
Exactly. So this goes back to my point earlier. Are the selectors, first of all, who are the selectors? 6 months, we don't know who is picking these squads along with former India Test opener SS Das, right? So the problem just goes back to what I've been saying now for the last year, that the BCCI, it might be earning money and and laughing all the way to the bank, but from an administrative perspective, from a cricketing perspective, this is one of the weakest boards that I've seen since the mid-90s, So there seems to be too much confusion. This is why it's very easy to paint a picture of a certain person. Look, stats have to be looked at, right? They don't tell the whole story. We all know that. But if someone is averaging 80, right? Now, 2 people are averaging 80 or thereabouts. Yashasvi Jaiswal, who I think in 15 first-class matches has got 9 hundreds, right? That is an outstanding conversion rate, okay? Now, while he did not set the Ranji Trophy on fire, I don't think he's even in the top 15 or 20 of this last 2022, 23 Ranji Trophy run scorers. But the fact is, he did very well in the Irani Cup final. He got 200 and then 100 in the second innings. That got him into his first India A tour. Yes, it was Bangladesh. It was not challenging conditions, but he got 100 there, as did Abhimanyu Ishwaran. He got 200s for India A. So if you're not rewarding players who have come up the ranks and tick all the boxes, then I think the problem is much, much bigger. And so I go back to Rahane was recalled on his CSK IPL form. Had Jaiswal done everything but not scored near 700 runs in this IPL, take it from me, he would have been nowhere near India's Test team, despite a first-class average of 80, despite scoring a double 100 and 100 in the Irani Cup, playing for rest of India. And even if he got hundreds for India A, he would not have been there, because IPL is now selecting Test teams. It's a fact. Yeah. Agree, don't agree, you cannot ignore this, right? It's the same with Ruturaj Gaikwad. Now, Ruturaj Gaikwad, yes, you rightly said that he averaged around 42, but he's done very well for Maharashtra across 3 formats. Vijay Hazare, he's been exceptional. Saeed Mushtaq Ali, he's done very well. Ranji Trophy, he's done very well. But would Ruturaj Gaikwad have been part of India's Test team had he not been part of this IPL winning team? Absolutely not is the answer. The IPL is now dictating Test selection. Pujara does not play. Ajinkya Rahane averaged 24 in the same period where Cheteshwar Pujara averaged 32. Yeah. He's now been elevated to what? To the blooming vice captaincy of India's Test team. It's because of his proximity to MS Dhoni and the IPL. Agree or not, it's a fact.
That's right. In fact, if you look at, and we're going to talk about Cheteshwar Pujara being dropped and why Gavaskar thinks that he's being made a scapegoat in this transition process, because in that same list of performers in the World Test Championship cycle, Pujara is down below, where he's averaging in the last 2 years just 24. So then are we saying just that 89 and 46 in the World Test Championship final has been instrumental in him finding a place in the Test squad, not just that, becoming the vice captain? Is that okay? We'll talk about that, but we'll just stick with this Sarfaraz Khan issue just a bit. Though the other thing, we've talked about the fitness factor, and somewhere it is fair. Vedam, I agree with you. in the way that you're saying fitness has to be primary in modern cricket today. It is very difficult to not be fit and be able to play this format, even if it comes down to you running between the wickets. Even if you're batting well, that's a problem. But this off-field conduct a concern, and this quote is where the problem is really in the way BCCI handles its players, where he's saying he has to work hard, maybe shed weight, come back leaner and fitter. It is not just batting fitness. That is the sole criteria for selection. His conduct on and off the field hasn't exactly been top-notch. Certain things said, certain gestures made, and some incidents have been taken note of. A bit more disciplined approach would only do him a world of good. Hopefully, Sarfaraz, along with his father and coach Naushaad Khan, will work on those aspects. Now, there are two things that stand out for me. Number one, where it has come down to this, that a BCCI official is telling PTI that this seems to be a problem with Sarfaraz Khan. The other being how wrong is it to celebrate in the way that you want to after scoring 100? I mean, you can get emotional. Do they expect players to be like robots? Do they expect players to constantly fall in line? I mean, I don't know where this bit comes from, because this was apparently the incident that, in a Ranji Trophy match earlier this year in January, he scored 100 and pointed a finger at the selector present there, trying to make a statement that, look at me, I've been scoring runs, but you're not selecting me. I don't quite understand that. Players are entitled to their opinions. As long as he's not breaking any, law of cricket, he's entitled to do what he wants to do. That cannot be the reason for keeping him out of the squad. Vedam?
I think what he showed was the handle and not the bat. So, I mean, that apart, I wouldn't take these, these so-called sources who tell to PTI or whoever very seriously. Because I've been telling this quite repeatedly. You can't be a mama's boy and play for India.
Yeah.
You need a different mindset, really, if you go to play for India. And not just India, all those guys, 1 to 14 or 1 to 15, they are outliers. They are outliers in behavior. They can't, you and I can go play and go home and have a good night's rest. But these guys, they are outliers. They will behave, like you said, as long as they're not transgressing any laws or any rules, we shouldn't care too much for that. But having said that, I still would hold on to Sarfaraz Khan's case, not because of any other reason. See, usually what happens is any cricketer worth his salt, within a year or two, he'll come to terms. If he's like what I said earlier, what you can become 2 or 3 years down the line. Maybe Ruturaj, Gaikwad, they see 2 years down the line, he could be a very good batsman. Jaiswal, same thing. Maybe 2-3 years down the line, he could be a very good batsman. But what we're looking is how quickly he comes to terms with that. And Sarfaraz Khan has been playing IPL. If IPL is your yardstick, he's been playing IPL for what, 5 or 6 years, and he is still not a surety in any playing 11. Whereas Jaiswal, I think within a year or two, he's not only a surety, he's batting as well as some of the seasoned international players. So, which means the guy has got something in him which allows him to lift up the level of his game. To raise the notch of his game. And if you are able to raise your notch of your game to the level of an international, like, say, Josh Butler or somebody, then you are something special. And that's the reason I think somebody like Jaiswal is looked at with a lot of interest. And the same goes with Gaikwad. Now, we might diss the IPL, but let's not forget, it allows your talented youngsters the chance or the opportunity to rub shoulders with some of the best cricketers in the world. So many have fallen aside. But the ones who really do well and continue to do well, I think we need to look at them very carefully. We already had a Jasprit Bumrah who came from those ranks. Ashwin too did very well in the IPL and then made a name for himself. So there are other names. Now, these are guys who have crossed that, come to terms with the level of competition and excelled. I don't think we should diss it just because it's IPL.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, now, this is Sarfaraz Khan. we're going to play an excerpt from his interview that I had done last year after Mumbai lost the final to Madhya Pradesh, Ranji Trophy final, but Sarfaraz scored 100. And once again, like he's been doing in the last 3 years, he was phenomenal throughout the season. This is what he had to say when he was asked about, how there was going to be a selection, I think, for the next test series. And I had asked him about what it feels like after having scored so many runs, and does he feel like he will be selected in the Indian team. Listen into what he had to say and then we'd come back.
चलिए, एक अच्छा तरीका है जीरो एक्सपेक्टेशंस के साथ अपनी जो प्रोसेस होती है उसमें ध्यान दें। पर एक बात बताइए, अब जितने भी क्रिकेटर्स आप उनसे पूछ लिए जिन्होंने रणजी ट्रॉफी देखी, सोशल मीडिया पे हम सुन रहे हैं, फिर वो सुनील गावस्कर हों, संजय मांजरेकर हों, मदन लाल हों, दिलीप वेंगसरकर हों, सब यही कह रहे हैं कि भाई अब एक कहते ना कि सरफराज, राहुल द्रविड़ ने एक बात करी थी कि भाई अब जो भी आएगा टीम में उसको दरवाजा तोड़ के अंदर आना पड़ेगा क्योंकि बहुत सारे लोग हैं। शायद कहीं ना कहीं वो भी दिमाग में है कि मैंने सब कुछ करा है इस सीजन में, मुझसे बेहतर डोमेस्टिक क्रिकेट में कोई नहीं रहा है, अब तो आपने दरवाजा मतलब तोड़ दिया है। तो वो जो एक है कि भाई इंडिया टीम के लिए कब खेलेंगे, वो है दिमाग में।
देखो, ऐसा रहता है कि आज की तारीख में जो भी क्रिकेटर, छोटा बच्चा भी क्रिकेट स्टार्ट करेगा, तो अगर आप उससे पूछोगे कि आप क्यों क्रिकेट खेल रहे हो, आप क्या चाहते हो, तो वो भी बोलेगा कि मुझे इंडिया खेलना है। वैसे मेरा भी सपना है कि मैं भी इंडिया खेलूं, बट अब्बू ने बोला है कि अपना काम करते रहो, जो आपके कंट्रोल में है आप वो करो, आप मेहनत करो, आप रन्स करते रहो, आपके पास अपॉर्चुनिटीज आएगी अगर आप अच्छा खेलते रहोगे तो वैसे ही बने। मतलब हम सिर्फ मेहनत पे ध्यान दे रहे हैं और जितना हो सके मेहनत करेंगे, रन्स बनाएंगे और ट्राई करेंगे कि हमारी नसीब भी जल्दी चमके, हम भी इंडिया के लिए खेले जब भी हमारे नसीब में रहेगा।
So there he was, and till now he's just waiting for his chance. The other was, I had asked him about the Sidhu Moosewala celebration after he scored 100. This is what he had to say.
सिद्धू मूसेवाला जो सेलिब्रेशन था, थप्पी, वो भी देखा। क्या आप उनके म्यूजिक से इम्पैक्टेड हैं? क्या सुनते हैं उनको? क्या वो क्यों किया था?
नहीं, वो जो मैं इमोशनल हुआ था, मेरा सपना था जब मैं यूपी के लिए जा रहा था, तो मैं अपने मुंबई रणजी ट्रॉफी के कपड़े, मैंने 3 मैच खेला था मुंबई से, तो मेरे को नहीं लगा था कि मैं मुंबई के लिए कभी रणजी ट्रॉफी खेल पाऊंगा। और फिर रणजी ट्रॉफी के मुझे बचपन से सपना था कि मुंबई के लिए 100 बनाना है मुझे रणजी ट्रॉफी में। फिर जब मैंने मुंबई के लिए 100 बनाया था, 300 बनाया था डायरेक्ट मैंने, और उसके बाद फिर मेरा ये सपना था कि रणजी ट्रॉफी में जब मुंबई डिफिकल्ट सिचुएशन में रहेगी तब मुझे 100 बनाने हैं। ये मेरा एक छोटा सा ड्रीम है। तो मैंने जब 100 बनाया तो मुझे रोना आ गया कि मैंने, मतलब रणजी ट्रॉफी फाइनल लाइफ में बार बार खेलने नहीं मिलता है, कभी कभार ही खेलने मिलता है। और जहाँ तक सिद्धू मूसेवाला की वो जो बात है, वो हम लोग उनका काफ़ी गाना सुनते थे और वो ट्रेंडिंग में भी चल रहा था उनका, मतलब उनका डेथ हो गया था, तो हम लोग बार बार ड्रेसिंग रूम में ऐसे करते रहते थे। तो वो मेरे ड्रेसिंग रूम में थोड़ा उनके लिए मैंने, जो हम लोग आपस में गाना सुनते रहते उनके लिए किया था, जो भी फ्रेंड्स थे।
Jamie, there's no denying that he's a talent. He's been scoring runs and he needs to be given an opportunity. And if he's not given an opportunity, then someone needs to speak to him. Someone needs to tell him what seems to be the problem. Because if cricket's not a problem and if it's other issues, then I think that can be worked on. The kind of talent that Sarfaraz Khan has, that's special. Fitness and all the other things, somebody needs to sit him down and speak to him. That's the right way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw this with another outrageously talented Mumbai batsman, one who knows Sarfaraz Khan very, very well. Prithvi Shaw, after he came back, or rather he was sent back from the Australia tour in 2018-19, the Mumbai Cricket Association, as you are well aware, they set up a 2-member panel to work with Prithvi Shaw, not just from a cricketing perspective, but for how do you carry yourself off the field? How do you stop yourself from becoming the next Vinod Kamli, a name which he's so often linked for very obvious reasons? So if the Mumbai Cricket Association was able to do that, I would say not entirely successfully, because Prithvi Shaw has not come back the way that many of his countless fans would want him to. There's no reason to say that the Mumbai Cricket Association cannot put together another 2 or 3 member committee to work with Sarfaraz Khan. If indeed it is like the various outlets are reporting, it seems to be something else. Because if you look at the videos, I mean, a very good friend of mine, Taus Rizvi, who's a journalist who's covered many years of Mumbai cricket. He's played with many Mumbai cricketers. Go to his YouTube channel, and he's put up several videos in which he spent the whole day, sometimes even 2 days, at Naushan Khan's house in the backyard, seeing how he trains. So clearly, all that effort has paid off, because if your average is second to Don Bradman in the modern era, you're clearly doing a lot right, And and we've seen there's that the West Indies all-rounder who's grossly overweight. I'm forgetting his name, Rakeem Cornwall. He's played Test cricket. He's taken a 5-wicket haul. He's scored some runs. He's taken some blinders in the slip cordon. So it's not like someone who's carrying a bit of extra kilos cannot do well at the Test level. But I don't want to be like that the person who's always nitpicking on one thing. You look at anyone who's getting into the Indian team, and it's because of their IPL success. Vedam is right in saying that in 5-6 seasons, Sarfaraz Khan has done nothing in the IPL, but we're not here to discuss his role in India's T20. I've always said he's never going to play T20 for India, because the stats say that's his weakest format. He's a player who should be playing Test cricket, I think, but he's 25. We wish him the best, and he might come back. But again, just to go back to what Mr. Sunil Gavaskar was saying, the one player who does not have an IPL contract ends up being the one batsman dropped when Virat Kohli is averaging 25 for the last 4 years, when Rahane is averaging 24. So for me personally, it's impossible to look beyond the IPL factor in who's being picked and who's being discarded.
You've cued me to this next point. This is about Cheteshwar Pujara. Indian cricket has started that transition process after the World Test Championship final debacle. And one name, like Jamie was saying, that is no more a part of India's future plans, is Cheteshwar Pujara. Pujara was dropped from the Test squad that will travel to the West Indies to play 2 matches. But that decision has not gone down well with Sunil Gavaskar and other former cricketers and experts. Pujara has struggled for consistency, no doubt, over the last 2 years, having scored 928 runs at an average of 32. This is the World Test Championship cycle, and has scored 106 50s in 17 matches. The 35-year-old has been scoring runs for his county Sussex this season in Division 2, but twin failures in the WTC final, that was the last straw that led to his omission from the squad. Cheteshwar Pujara has been the backbone of Indian batting for over a decade, but has he become a sacrificial lamb? Has he become a scapegoat after the World Test Championship loss? Virat Kohli has averaged the same in that time period. He has 100 and 350s. Rohit Sharma has 200s in 19 innings in the same period, though he's averaging better. He's averaging just over 42. But there is also Ajinkya Rahane, who's averaging just around 24, and he has been made the vice captain. So you've been talking about how selectors need to have a vision, Vedam. We've discussed this in our past shows. In this case, do you also agree with Sunil Gavaskar's comments that, if you have 1 million followers on social media, then you don't get picked on, but because it's Cheteshwar Pujara, he's been made a scapegoat? Because Virat Kohli is no better if you just compare numbers. And I know you'll say you just can't look at numbers, but out of the 4 big players, the 4 big names, it's not like others have done much better.
Yeah. Look, Sunil Gavaskar says if you have a lot of followers, you won't be dropped. You can get followers in Moldova or one of those places where you can buy followers by the millions. So I wouldn't take that seriously at all. Sunil Gavaskar also says he shouldn't be playing Ranji Trophy. The guy is not in the IPL team if he doesn't play Ranji Trophy also. What cricket is he going to play? So I don't think some of these comments made by these veteran cricketers, they just shoot off because they also need to stay in the news. They say all those things. But look, we are looking at a 2-year cycle, and don't look at what Pujara can do now. I don't think Pujara will last 2 years from now. He will not
Rohit Sharma last 2 years from now?
Exactly, that's what I said even earlier. We need to get rid of Rohit Sharma. We need to get rid of Rahane. We need to get rid of Pujara. We need to get rid of Umesh Yadav and a whole lot of them. Spinners, yes, hold on to them because they mature late. Virat Kohli, we can keep him because he is the fittest of the lot. 2 years down the line, I don't see any of the others really playing. So we need to get rid of a whole lot of them. And, you know, if it is a question of, let's say, Pujara versus Rahane or Pujara versus Rohit Sharma, I don't think it's a contest. You've got to get rid of all of them, you know. And when we look at horses for courses, Pujara really is very handy and very useful on bouncier tracks like in Australia and in South Africa. I don't think we need to waste a place on him in the West Indies tour, where the ball is really not going to bounce that much, and neither are the West Indies fast, the current lot, as quick, maybe except for Alazari Joseph. I don't think the rest of them are as quick as some of the South Africans and the Australians. So I think if you look at horses for courses, Pujara had to go. But along with him, I would have also sent Ajinkya Rahane and Rohit Sharma going. Now, Rohit Sharma, it's my point of view. Rohit Sharma should not open the batting any longer. He should come maybe at number 3. He should allow 2 youngsters the chance to play in West Indies as opening batsmen. Again, I say this because then you can groom them, you can develop them. And he can come at number 3 and maybe Kohli can come at number 4. But otherwise, if he is going to come opening, he's blocking the opportunity of a youngster to develop. Again, I tell you, we need to look 2 years ahead, not now. We need to look 2 years ahead. And for looking 2 years ahead, every single spot in the playing 11 has to be groomed, nurtured, and projected as such.
Jimmy, this is going to be a difficult one because India only play 4 test matches this year, right? I mean, they're playing 2 against West Indies and then South Africa towards the end of the year. So it's a difficult one. You want to start that transition process, but how do you go about it? And I won't be surprised. It has happened in the past. It may happen again that somehow the new names that are going to the West Indies fail, and Cheteshwar Pujara is back for the test series against South Africa in South Africa, later this year. I think that's in December. That's also a possibility, because we've seen these kind of things happen where the selection committee has taken 2 steps forward and have gone back.
Exactly. We're in the month of June and we're talking about December. Who knows? 6 months can be a lifetime when it comes to the BCCI and their strange ways. But see, you have to see, absolutely, this team needs to start building for the next 2 years, because ever since that WTC cycle concept started, teams have a lot more initiative to go and do well, right? Series now matter. I've said it before on the show. Had this not been part of the WTC cycle, no one would be even talking about the West Indies series. But suddenly we're devoting so much airtime, so much column space to this, because it marks the start of a cycle, coming off a cycle where each of India's main batsmen has been in steady decline. If you look at the next cycle, yes, there's 2 test matches in the West Indies, oddly only 2 in South Africa, but 2024, the majority of India's WTC cricket will be played at home, and they've dropped someone who averages 52 at home and made someone who averages 34 at home the blooming vice captain, right? So I just don't understand, right? You know the schedule, you know where you're playing the majority of your cricket, and then you've kept Rahane. The Rahane's average at home is dismal, and you made him the vice captain. So a lot of strange things. That said, I understand that all this transition, this reset, whatever term we all wish to use, it doesn't happen wholesale, right? Ganguly, Dravid, Sachin, Lakshman, Sehwag, these guys were all phased out or dropped or whatever you choose to say. It all happened over a gradual period. So yes, I'm not surprised that only Pujara and only Umesh Yadav have been dropped from the West Indies series. It was never going to be that Rahane is also dropped or Rohit's also dropped. But is anyone actually looking at Lords 2025 apart from Rohit Sharma, who's going to be 38? I just don't see him, because it's not about, I have nothing against Rohit Sharma. I'm a big fan of his batting, but the guy has never played back-to-back 2 test series. Either he's injured or he's dropped or he takes rest. How can that person lead India for the next 2 years and talk about, oh, I want to be there at Lords 2 summers from now? Respect test cricket. Stop taking breaks. Stop taking stop getting injured. He's just the wrong man right now to lead this 2-year cycle.
And also,
Again,
I mean, the other thing, no, sorry, the other thing being, why make Ajinkya Rahane the vice captain? Just make Shubman Gill the vice captain straight away. I mean, I would understand if Ajinkya Rahane was made the captain in the absence of Rohit Sharma, were he to not go for the test series to the West Indies. But Rohit Sharma is going. This is the right time to groom Shubman Gill as the future captain of the Indian team. I don't understand, why are you going back to Ajinkya Rahane as the vice captain? The other thing I wanted to ask you both is the concept of farewell series. I mean, Cheteshwar Pujara, were he not to come back again, Vedam, 102 test matches, key roles in victories for India at home and overseas. I mean, 2018, highest run scorer against Australia. India won the test series in Australia for the first time. 2021, we all remember Sydney draw. We remember Brisbane. He was, copping blows from all the big fast bowlers. And I remember Jamie and I had done an interview where he was talking about how his daughter says, don't worry, I will kiss on your bruises and I'll make them better, because that's how he, that's the kind of bowling that he was facing on that day in Brisbane. So having said that, should he have been given a farewell series? Is that a concept you believe in, Vedam?
Absolutely not. I don't believe in that at all. And, I think you quoted Gavaskar earlier. So let's talk about Gavaskar again. He said, go when they ask you why, rather than why not. So it's the right time to go. I think Cheteshwar Pujara is quite old. He will not last a 2-year program, and there's 2-year cycle, I beg your pardon. And there's no point in talking about farewell. Farewell is okay at the end of a test match. You can call him for tea or hand over a cap or whatever you're giving him, or shake hands, and that's fine enough. If you really want to give him a farewell, give him a benefit match or something if you really think that he deserves it. But otherwise, let's not waste Indian cricket's emotions with things like farewell. We need to look ahead all the time. Only if we are able to look ahead all the time, we're really going to go forward. Otherwise, we are just going to get stuck in the past and not move at all. Okay. And I think farewell, we people like Kapil Dev and Tendulkar hung on longer than they should have. But let's not make that a trend. Let's get them on their way out. Let them go earlier, especially people like Pujara, Rohit Sharma, Rahane, and a whole lot of others.
Okay, Jamie, do you agree quickly, and then we'll move on to who should replace Cheteshwar Pujara at number 3 before I wrap this up?
100%. Sunil Gavaskar never got a farewell. Yes, Kapil Dev did sort of play on longer, and that was to get past 434. Sachin Tendulkar, just because he's Sachin Tendulkar, he got one. Dravid didn't get one. Lakshman didn't get one. Ganguly got one because he ended a press conference at the Chinnaswamy by saying, one last thing, boys, so that sort of set the ball. But he's sort of Ganguly, a man who's always trying to find a way to outdo the people around him. Virendra Sehwag didn't get a farewell test match. So many players haven't, and I just don't think I'm on the same page as Vedam. I don't think this is something that we should start to encourage. You do your job, you represent the country, you earn the highest laurels, you do your best to win your country, and in the case of test cricket, draw matches. And Cheteshwar Pujara has helped India draw some epics. Rahane has done very well. And it's natural, every sports person across the spectrum reaches a stage where if they don't have it inside them to say, hey, I'm done, someone has to phase them out, and we're seeing that with certain people, and let's hope, like Vedam says, the others also get pushed out sooner than later.
Okay, let's now talk about who will replace Cheteshwar Pujara. So India will be keen to start their new ICC World Test Championship cycle with a win against the West Indies and begin that process of transition. The question we're asking is, who will replace Cheteshwar Pujara at number 3 in tests? Will it be Yashasvi Jaiswal or Ruturaj Gaikwad or Shubman Gill? Yashasvi Jaiswal has a brilliant record in first-class cricket, having scored 1,845 runs at an average of 80.21. Not just that, he's batted one down for rest of India in recent times, having scored a double 100 and 144 against Madhya Pradesh in Irani Cup, and could make this his position in test matches. So they might not, the other thing could be that they might not want to throw in Jaiswal immediately as an opener in the West Indies. makes sense to ease him in at number 3. And there is no major difference now between the openers and somebody coming one down. Ruturaj Gaikwad is the other choice. He's been rewarded for his success in white ball cricket, but there is no doubt that he has the potential to be one of India's key batters in tests as well. Gaikwad averages 42.19 in first-class cricket, but the selectors seem to think he has the game to face high-quality pacers in the longer format too. He was named in the reserves for the World Test Championship finals, not only because he couldn't go due to a personal commitment that the selectors named Yashasvi Jaiswal in the squad. Then the last one. There's also a school of thought that maybe Shubman Gill will be shifted down the order to bat in number 3. Let Yashasvi Jaiswal open with Rohit Sharma. Gill has the experience of batting at number 3 for Punjab. He has had an average start to his test career, scoring 921 runs in 16 innings at an average of 32.89. He's technically very good. We know that, against both pacers and spinners, and maybe that is the position where he can establish himself in the test. The other thing being the chance to move him closer to where many believe, and these are former cricketers, cricket experts, many believe he will bat for years to come, which is at number 4 after Virat Kohli retires. Now, Vedam, you've already said that you think Rohit Sharma should come down. Do you believe Rohit Sharma should come down to number 3, or who do you think should replace Cheteshwar Pujara?
See, if you ask me, I would say that Jaiswal and Gaikwad have to open the batting. With Gill coming at number 3, Kohli at number 4, and Rohit Sharma at number 5. But, you've selected a captain and a vice captain, so you can't drop them both.
Yes.
Or either of them. So you're stuck actually with them. So in this case, I would prefer, maybe Rohit Sharma can come at number 3, but I would definitely keep Jaiswal opening. Basically because he is a left-hander, and we need to have a left-right combination at the top. We haven't had it for quite some time, and that's very useful to have also. It upsets the length and line of the opposition also, so that they don't get into a groove. So we shouldn't miss a trick there. It's better to have a left-right combination. I would open with Gill and Jaiswal in this case, because Rohit Sharma is around, and maybe Rohit Sharma should come number 3. That's the right way to go, because then you can build a team. You can build an opening slots. But if Rohit Sharma was not around, maybe if he's injured, I would get Gill to come at number 3.
Okay, Gill at number 3. Jamie?
It's very interesting. Rohit Sharma has actually played the majority of his test career in the middle order, right? It was because the openers had lost form. Murli Vijay was moved on from. KL Rahul was inconsistent. Mayank Agarwal was around, but he was still sort of finding his feet. So when you look back a few years, the fact that Rohit Sharma was made to open was because he was doing the job for India in white ball cricket and also in the IPL. He's not a natural opener. And I think that same logic can and should be applied to him right now. Now, when you've picked 3 additional openers in the team, why not use one of them? I don't see it happening, but I'm on the same page as Vedam. I would even have him, not just 3, have him bat at 5 if need be, because the same logic that forced him up into the opening, and also he was made to open because the management realized we have someone who's finally starting to back up those the status of being a big match player. Where do we fit him in? Our middle order is full. Apply the same logic. If Jaiswal has come into the team on the basis of scoring runs as an opener, play him as an opener. If Gaikwad has come into the team on the basis of what he's done as an opener, play him as opener. But that said, the regularity with which India often lose wickets, if you're an India opener, you're also a number 3. If you're number 3, you're also an opener. So that skill is the same. So I'd be totally fine if these said players also batted at 3, because the lines have blurred. The amount of times that Pujara had to walk out 3rd over, 4th over, 5th over, you pretty much are opening. And also, let's not forget that in one of his many comebacks in Sri Lanka, he was made to open.
Yes.
And he scored a match-winning 100 in Colombo. So I think where you're talking about Indian team, your openers and your number 3, they're all pretty much playing the same role. 4, 5, 6 is of course very, very different. I think all these players are capable of opening, of batting at 3, and let's face it, they're very, very hungry to do well. This fight to get into the team now is so tough. So whoever opens can bat at number 3 in my book.
There's also this option where you can get Ajinkya Rahane to come at number 3 or Virat Kohli. Is that something that's feasible, Vedam?
No, I wouldn't like that at all. Like Jamie said, these guys are selected as openers, let them go. See, because the mindset of an opener is different. An opener is not just going to hang around over there. He is willing to go open. He is willing to play from the first ball, and his mindset is different. A number 3's mindset is different, and definitely a number 4 is different. Virat Kohli is okay when he's opening in IPL, but I wouldn't like him to open in test matches, and he doesn't need to do that. I don't, because like we've got some 3 or 4 openers already in this lineup. So why should you make a makeshift opener? It was earlier in the Indian team. Your batsman would be asked to go bowl medium pace and things like that. I mean, we don't need to do that at all. It's good that we have so many of these guys who are youngsters. And I would really prefer, like Jamie said, I am totally in agreement with him. Somebody like Rohit Sharma can come at number 5 and maybe Rahane at number 6. So if there is a crisis, then you have Kohli, Rahane and Rohit Sharma to bail you out of that crisis. But give the youngsters a chance. Let them go ahead and let them prove their worth. They've been selected to open the batting. Let them go 1, 2 and 3 in the batting order and see where it takes us.
And the other thing being that if you're not going to do it now, are you going to do it in South Africa later this year? Are you going to throw them in the deep end? So it's the best time, perfect opportunity for these youngsters to be given a chance to perform. Thank you so much, Jamie Otter and Vedam Jaishankar, for joining us. How do you like our show, our programming? Do let us know in the comments section below. What do you think of the question that we asked? Should Sarfaraz Khan have been chosen in the test squad for the West Indies? So whatever, if you have any questions, queries, comments, do let us know in the comment section below. News9 Live is what you need to subscribe to for all the latest from the world of sports. That's it from us. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.
मैं इमरान अहमद खान नियाजी सबके दिल से हल्फ उठाता हूँ.
When Imran Khan came initially into politics, he thought his personal popularity would be sufficient for him. It didn't happen.